Life is full of challenges, but is it possible that God can use those hardships, health challenges, and flaws for His good? Joining me now to chit-chat a bit about it is Bethany, Jett, co-author of Platinum Faith, and she joins me from Florida, where there's no snow. Bethany, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you so much. It's warm here.
Bethany, can you give me a bit of an overview of the book and who it's really aimed at?
Yes, the concept is that platinum, the metal, has 12 characteristics. And my co-author, Michelle Medlock Adams, and I have a company named Platinum Literary Services. And that's why we named the company Platinum Literary. And one day she said, I think this really applies to faith. Those same awesome characteristics could be applied to our faith journey. And that's how the book was born. And so the book is geared towards women, but we've had a lot of men say that it's just as relevant for them. And it's taking each of those characteristics of the metal platinum and saying, how can I strive to be better in this specific area in my faith journey? And Michelle always says it's not about perfection, it's about the progress, the journey to get there.
Now, platinum is indeed a very rare and precious metal. Can you really share what some of the elements of platinum metal are?
One of our favorite characteristics is that platinum is so useful. A lot of people think it's just meant for jewelry, and it's great in jewelry, but it's also found in cancer fighting drugs, in majority of the things that we use every day, and even in smoke detectors, which is something you would never guess. And yet smoke detectors save lives. And so in the same way, we can have a quiet faith, but when God's calling us to step out to be used, we have to make noise, just like a smoke detector.
And you believe that obtaining a platinum faith is really a process. What kinds of things should we expect to encounter along the path of pursuing a stronger faith?
One of the other characteristics is that platinum withstands the heat, and we're going to have obstacles on this journey. It is not easy, and that's why having a platinum faith, trying to attain that, means having a strong faith, knowing that when those hard times come, God is there standing on the truth of scripture and getting through it, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We had to use them withstand the heat.
Now, you're right that sometimes women fall into the comparison trap. How can women remember that they may be different, but that they have a God-ordained calling and purpose?
It is so hard with social media sometimes because we see the pretty and the perfect. Like even tonight, my desk was covered in papers and projects, and I scooted it all away just so I'd have this perfect background. And I think that the more vulnerable we are on social, sharing those dirty times, those messy times, it can help us relate to other women and realize there is no perfect. There is just the appearance.
Why is it so important for women to have a close community of friends? And on the flip side, what are some of the cautions that go with those relationships?
We were built for community. And one of the characteristics with platinum is that it bonds easily with other metals, but that it also doesn't get corrupted by them. And that's such a biblical principle about paying attention to who your inner circle is, just like Jesus did. He had a lot of followers, but his group became smaller and smaller with his disciples, Peter, James, and John. And then John says he was the disciple Jesus loved, going down even to the one. And with that, it's hard sometimes to have the discernment to know how close to be to somebody. And that's really where the faith aspect comes in, and praying over those relationships so that they can be strong and healthy.
Now, Bethany, you have an allergy to a resin found in things like stickers, tape, and paper. In fact, you have some gloves. Can you show them to our viewers there?
I do. I thought I'd have my book cover, and I'm allergic to the cover of my own book.
Wow.
So I have my gloves.
So what do you say to women whose faith is tested through physical challenges like what you're going through?
I think it's very interesting in my case that I'm an author, and I was homeschooling at the time that I found out I had this paper allergy, this ingredient allergy. And I would say look at where you're being tested and see, is God trying to use you in that way? Because maybe that's why the test is coming there. I had so many people say, we are not surprised that Satan is attacking your hands, that I need to type, I need to write, I need to be touching paper and books and things like that. So maybe there's something there, and maybe God's going to use that to further his kingdom and his purpose, even though it's a frustrating or even detrimental trial.
Now, your co author Michelle was a caregiver to her mother when she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Many caregivers endure fatigue, stress, and end up questioning God's plan. What advice do you have for those people in these kinds of situations?
I know that that was such a hard time for her when she was dealing with that. She was so close to her mother. It is difficult. And honestly, I think that's why Platinum Faith is a journey. It's something that we're attaining to and never really claiming that we have it, because even in those moments, there's doubt, there's questioning, there's wondering, there's worry on both sides. And that is when I think standing on the scriptures that say that, who God is, what he says for you, and knowing that you cannot get rid of that love, that is strong. And just not believing what the heart is telling you, but knowing in your mind what God said is true.
Bethany, many of us struggle with shortcomings and failures, but instead of condemning others, what is the best way to approach them or their situations?
One of the best ways that I have found goes back to a company philosophy that we have. And the phrase is grace upon grace upon grace. So in the business world with my family, the idea is if someone makes you upset or drops the ball or does something wrong or you're frustrated, the idea is to always give them the benefit of the doubt. Did something happen? Can I help you do this? What can I do to make this work? Instead of getting angry and then taking that other approach, instead of reacting, taking a second and then responding, which is another one of our Platinum Faith chapters,
Yeah, you
actually.
caution to be responsive, not reactive to life situations. What is the danger of being reactive right away, like a knee jerk reaction, instead of maybe looking at the big picture, sitting back, being more thoughtful?
I think when we react, and myself included, I'm not giving God time to work in the situation. I'm not asking for discernment or wisdom. And usually my reaction is a negative one. It's usually an anger or I'm upset about something instead of taking time to be thoughtful. So that is one that I think about in my daily life, probably out of all the characteristics, is responding, not reacting. Because relationships can be damaged so quickly with one harsh word, the wrong thing said, where it could have been avoided if there had just been a little bit of time in between.
How therapeutic was it really for you? And what did you learn along the way when you wrote the book Platinum Faith?
Platinum Faith is one of the hardest books I've ever written. I have 5 books now. Michelle has written close to 90, over 90 books. She's a best-selling children's author, and she said the same thing, that every section of this book was so gut-wrenching and difficult. And we really felt that it was because we were going really deep into these aspects of faith, and we wanted to get it right because we did not want women or any reader to feel like this was a preachy book. We wanted them to feel like we were walking alongside of them on this journey of Platinum Faith. And so that made it even more difficult. And now that it's over, we're really seeing the fruit from that. And even in our own lives, thinking on those same characteristics and working on them ourselves still.
Do you think many of your readers can really associate and understand, even relate to what you and Michelle have gone through?
We have had great feedback that certain chapters, different sections resonate in certain areas of their lives. One of our friends even said, her neighbor was upset about something very minor, but there was a chapter in the book that she had just read that helped her decide to take a positive approach and try to mend that relationship, even though it wasn't her fault, for that one. And so just even small things like that, we've been hearing that, yes, this is actually really helping strengthen their faith. And that was the goal the whole time.
Now, you have a chapter on being authentic. We often wear masks at church or on social media. What are your thoughts on being real with ourselves, with others, and most importantly, with God?
It can be difficult to self-assess or be self-aware sometimes, because we want to have this image where we have it all together, especially if you're trying to get people to trust you in business or work together. That's really important. So how do you juggle being transparent on social media if you also know that your boss or future clients are looking at it as well? So that can be really difficult. One of the verses we talk about with that one is the verse that in First Samuel where it says that God looks at the heart, and always thinking back to that. Is my heart in the right place? And then are my actions actually showing what is in my heart and looking at it in that order instead of the other way around.
What do you think when somebody says to you, if you want to really know who the true person is, in all honesty, see what they're like when they're alone instead of when they're with others?
It's true. And along with that, I wrote a dating book, and one of my suggestions was pay attention to how the person you're dating treats somebody who can do nothing for them, the server, the valet, someone who cannot get them ahead in life. How do they treat the person who's actually in a service position to them? That tells you a lot about somebody's character.
Any final thoughts on what you hope readers will get out of reading your book, Platinum Faith?
From the bottom of both my heart and Michelle's heart, what we hope readers get out of Platinum Faith is that, like we said in the beginning, this is a journey to not feel stuck or stressed or frustrated, just to know that sometimes the journey is hard, but with whatever characteristic you're working on at the time, there is hope, and God has a purpose for your life no matter what you're going through.
Bethany Jett, co-author of Platinum Faith, thanks a lot for joining me today from Florida.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless, and thanks so much for watching.